So today I would be talking about the Indian aesthetics, so which is otherwise called as Rasanubhava. So you might be wondering what is a Rasanubhava. As we move forward, let me explain you what is a Rasa and what is an Anubhava, and as a compound word, what is Rasanubhava. For a dancer, he says, Yato hastastato drushti, Yato drushtistato manaha, Yato manahastato bhavo, Yato bhavostato rasaha. He says, wherever the hand gesture goes, your eyes should follow, your glances should follow. Wherever the glances go, the manas should follow it. And wherever the manas is, the bhava is following. Whenever there is a bhava, rasa is automatically evoked. So today I would be talking about the Indian aesthetics, so which is otherwise called as Rasanubhava. So you might be wondering what is a Rasanubhava. As we move forward, let me explain you what is a Rasa and what is an Anubhava, and as a compound word, what is Rasanubhava. And today, the main objective of today's talk is to focus on the three things. Firstly, what is Indian dance, and what is Rasa or the aesthetic pleasure, and the process of this aesthetic pleasure. All these three things I would like to discuss. Since we spoke about the multiple dimensions of Indian dance in our previous session, so today I would like to explain and concentrate on these three topics. We know there are several performing arts in India and of course throughout the world, right? We have drama, we have music, we have dance, we have sculpture, painting, everything. So what is the ultimate goal of any performing art? It could be even an indigenous art form like a puppet show or even a Dhammarata. Whatever the form, it could be a street play. What is the ultimate goal of any performing art? And especially with reference to the dance, we can infer that the primary objective of any performing is nothing but an entertainment. So whom do we entertain? Why do we need entertainment? Bharata, who is an author on Natya Shastra, a great aesthetician who has contributed to the fields of music, dance, drama, dramaturgy, literature, and whatnot. In his treatise, some 2000 years back, in his Natya Shastra, he says, Dukkhartanam, Shramartanam, Sokartanam, Tapasvinam, Vishranti Jananam Kale, Natyame Tad Bhavishyati. So those who have attended my previous session in the month of August, hope you all must be knowing that dance is nothing but Natya is nothing but a dance drama. When there is a drama involved in it, when there is action and the dance movements are involved in it, when there is story is depicted, it is called as Natya, right? So Natya is not just a dance, but a story is depicted through the bodily movements and of course the costume, attire, everything with the dialogues and everything. So it is a proper dance drama. It's called as Natya. So whom are we going to please? Dukkharthanam, Shramarthanam, Sokarthanam, Tapasvinam. Dukkharthanam, those who are undergoing a lot of pains. Shramarthanam, those who have worked the day long and they want some kind of relaxation. Tapasvinam, Shramarthanam. So for all these people, dance is the only medium that can entertain them, that can please them, right? So, or can entertain them, giving them a kind of physical and mental relaxation as well. And the second objective is communication. We must understand that today we find a lot of platforms for communication. Some 2000 years back, dance, drama, music, puppet show and other performing arts were the only media to communicate with the people. Either it is to convey the order of the king or the kingdom or any news that has to be spread or any orders that has to be passed. It could be about the taxation or it could be anything about any communication as a matter of fact. So these performing arts were so beautifully gelled into the system of communication, and they were not only communicating with the people touring from one place to another place, and they were also promoting the art forms, and they were promoting so many things, and they were propagating so many ideas and ideologies and the kind of welfare things that the king was introducing, and bringing some kind of awareness among the public. It could be about the floods, or it could be about some sort of diseases, it could be about the famines. So whatever that has to be conveyed and bring in some kind of awareness, and of course educating the people about the social stigma that we experience day to day. Or the learned people, they would educate people about anything. That could be about some diseases, just like the Vishwa is doing, and that could be about a child marriage, against the social stigma, whatever that was prevailing. And the final one is for soulful enjoyment. So when we say that entertainment and a soulful enjoyment, even though they sound the same, the degree of appreciation and the degree of enjoyment is totally from 0 to 100. Hope you all agree with me. Again, what is dance or natya? When we were saying that a story is depicted, so many characters are there, so much of aharya, that is the dressing and everything is there. Of course, they have been depicting all these things. What is so special about natya? Bharata again says, what is that we are conveying? What is that we are depicting? Yoyam swabhava lokasya sukha dukkha samanvitaha songadhyabhinayopetu natyamitya vidhiyate. When all the pains and the pleasures of the people are conveyed through dramatic emotions and feelings, when they are dramatically glorified, it is called as natya. And what does natya consist of? Nana bharam, nana vastantaratmakam, loka vruttanukaranam, natyametanmaya krutam. Lord Brahma said, it is the dance that I have created. The only reason for creating this dance is so that it can depict the Nana Bhava Upasampannam, the different kinds of feelings, emotions, sentiments, the pains, the pleasures, the enjoyment, the joy, the freedom, the bond, the bondage, everything comes under that. If it has been converted or translated into Abhinaya and conveyed to the people, where people can connect with those characters or people can connect with the storyline, they will get enjoyment. This is what Nana Avastantara. They can be at any avastha. They will be in a painful state or in a pleasureful state or in a neutral state like a sages and everything, or in a furious mode, whatever the state they were in. All the states of people are conveyed through the Abhinaya. So this is called as Natya. Next slide, please. Apart from this kind of approach where I was mentioning about, depicting the different kinds of emotions and sentiments that we are undergoing and we are experiencing when they were dramatized and, dramatically glorified and represented on the stage. Is it meant only for the entertainment? Is it only for our joy? Or is it only for an evening socialization, just chit chat and, have some fun about it and, have just a joy? Kalidasa has added another dimension saying that Natyam Bhinnaruchehe Bahudapyekam Sakhakam Samaradhakam. Samaradhakam means Aradhan. The spiritual element has been added to the dance. So till now we were only understanding that it is only to entertain the commoners or it is only to entertain the people by watching the dance performance. But Kalidasa said Samaradhakam, it is equal to worshipping the Lord. It is an offering to the Lord. So when you look from the spiritual dimension, the Rupa of the Natya itself gives you a total different picture altogether. Okay. So Kalidasa even says, Natyam Bhinna Ruchehe Bahudapyekam. Natyam Bhinna Ruchehe Bahudapyekam. That means among the audience, those who are present to watch our program, you will find different kinds of people with the different kinds of attitude, different kinds of background, different kinds of, level of understandings, different kinds of tastes, isn't it? So it all depends on the individual's mental maturity, how well they receive a particular action that has been portrayed on the stage. I'll give you a small example here. In Bhamakalapam, there is an episode where when Krishna doesn't come back to Satyabhama's palace, so Satyabhama is worried about Krishna. She's pining to meet Krishna like anything. So she goes in search of Krishna. Okay. So one goes in search of Krishna, just like we also see in Potana's Bhagavatam, Gopikas also goes in search of Krishna in the Brindavan. Just like that, even Satyabhama goes, Yendu Tivi Krishna, Yendu Tivi Krishna. Am I searching for Krishna? Yendu Tivi, where did you go, my Krishna? Where are you? Please, if Satyabhama is acting these words on the stage, searching for Krishna here and there, the people among the audience who are in teenage group, the teenage group audience would easily connect to their boyfriend or the girlfriend, saying that, yeah, even I was searching for him like that, he was hiding here and there. He never showed up. That time I was, very badly searching for him. She would easily connect to the kind of affinity or the kind of experience that they have experienced in the past. If you think of women, those who are in the middle age, like between 25 to 40, they would think of their own husband when the husband is on tour, or he must have gone abroad for a couple of months or so, or he went for a longer period out. They could easily get connect with them, and they also feel that I know it is so terrible, waiting for husband to return home. I know how it bothers and all. Of course, this is how a Gruhini would think of. And for a people, again, teenagers, boys who doesn't have any responsibility, who chill all the time, for them, hey, what's happening with that? Krishna just come, no? Hey, she looks so pretty. I mean, their very attitude itself to the art form is so, naive that, they can't even appreciate the kind of emotion that is being portrayed on the stage. When you think on the Sringara elements in this way, just imagine an ardent devotee of ISKCON. Let's take ISKCON devotees. How passionate they are towards Krishna. For him, the Satyabhama looks like an devotee. The devotee who's searching for her or his own Lord. They could see the utmost devotion in the artist instead of looking for the physical love that they are looking between a male and a female. It is the connection, it is the love and affection that a devotee has got towards the divine. So from that physical mode, if you can reach out to the divine level, hope you all understood what I'm talking about, right? So if you can reach up to the level of divine love, then the expressions that were portrayed by are totally in a different degree. That's the reason in the previous slide I was mentioning about the joy of the soul. Joy of the heart is different from the joy of the soul, where you feel the Swatantra. We'll discuss about what is Swatantra when we reach there. And here the Kalidas also says, the Sanskrit literature, whatever that we read, laymen, those who are illiterate may not read it and, may not understand the grammar or the high language that is being written in that literature. But whereas when it is depicted visually, everybody can enjoy it. That's the beauty of the performing arts. And Bharata also says, Nahi rasadrute kaschit artha pravartate. That means no meaningful idea or action is conveyed if rasa is not invoked in the dance. In other words, in each and every action, in each and every abhinaya that a dancer dances, portrays, it definitely conveys some or other rasa, again depending upon the mental status of the mental maturity of the audience. That is the reason the core idea of any dramatic presentation is to create ananda or the happiness. So you might ask me, ma'am, you're saying the core idea of the dramatic presentation is only ananda, but there were times when I cried in the movie also. That is also nothing but ananda. How can you call crying as an ananda? For that temporary moment when you are watching a movie where there is pathetic sentiment is being portrayed, yeah, definitely we connect with that character, we sympathize with the character, and we'll start crying, we'll start weeping, right? But once you are out of the theater, you won't weep, right? You will start appreciating the acting of the actor. There you are enjoying the abhinaya. So now you tell me whether you are feeling pain or are you having the joy out of the abhinaya of the actor. So the ultimate goal, the core idea is nothing but ananda. And sometimes even if there is a fight where a villain is being beaten by the hero, we enjoy that. Normally, if the villain beats the hero, do we enjoy that? No, we never enjoy that. What is the difference here? Why are we able to enjoy if the hero beats the villain, and why are we not able to enjoy when the villain is beating the hero? There is a vast difference. We'll discuss this when we discuss about the Rasananda, right? This is an introductory thing that I would like to lay a foundation for you all to understand, because I understand majority of the audience are non-dancers or those who have a limited understanding about the dance. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. And to enjoy this Ananda, the spectator should be a Rasika or a Sahridaya. The soulful enjoyment is called bliss in the Indian aesthetics, which is also called as a Rasananda. So when I say that the Prekshaka should be a Rasika or a Sahridaya, Rasika is the one who enjoys everything, is called as a Rasika. That means you should be in the present. Now, if you are listening to me, you should be in the present. You should pay focus on my lecture, on my talk. If you are in a movie, totally we create such an ambience, the dim lights and everything, the proper Dolby music, okay, the proper AC, everything. So we create such an environment for the audience to be in the present and enjoy the movie on the cellulite, isn't it? So similarly, in the absence of the ambience also, if you can connect with the abhinaya that's being portrayed on the stage, such person is called as Rasika. Such person is called as Sahridaya. And the one who can think in the same line of the poet or in the same lines of the actor who is acting on the stage. Is the statement a little bit confusing? We'll explain again. Okay. So this Rasananda is also called as Brahmananda Sahodara. What is a Brahmananda? When you realize the Brahman, when you realize the ultimate, the supreme, that Ananda is called as Brahmananda, So that Brahmananda Sahodara. So this Ananda, the pleasure that what we are getting while watching a theatrical performance, the kind of bliss that one would experience is almost same to the one what we experience when we realize the God. So for this Rasananda, our consciousness have to connect with the higher consciousness. This is called as Rasananda. Okay, this occurs maybe when you are reading a book or while watching a movie, while watching a theatrical presentation. How all this happens? What is the process behind it? Let us discuss only the dance part of it, and let's leave the reading and the movie part and everything. I would like to focus on the dance. So many aestheticians like Nandikeshwara, Bharata, and so many Mammata, Kohala, so many people have discussed about Anandavardhana. Everybody have discussed about the theory of rasa. When does a rasa evoked? For a dancer, he says, Yato hastas tato drushti, yato drushtis tato manaha, yato manahas tato bhavo, yato bhavos tato rasaha. He says, wherever the hand gesture goes, your eyes should follow, your glances should follow. Wherever the glances go, the manas should follow it. And wherever the manas is, the bhava is following. Whenever there is a bhava, rasa is automatically evoked. So we understood that, while depicting this one, this is a parrot I'm depicting. So I'm looking at the parrot and, the hand gesture, the glances, and I'm focusing on the parrot. And when I'm giving a bhava, the Rasika, who's also connected with the artist, would also enjoy that she's talking to a parrot. Like, we are on the same page to talk in a regular language, right? So this aesthetic expression or experience is transcendental in nature, arising from one and only the source, that is the divine. Okay. So this degree of aesthetic fulfillment depends on the capability of the artist. Okay. So what is a rasa? Ma'am, you have been talking about rasa. What is a rasa? Rasa, rasika, right? So rasa in general meaning, if you talk, it's the juice, it's the taste. We say amras, orange juice. Right? Ras means nothing but a juice. And it is also called a taste or an extract of a fruit. So here when you compare the extract of a fruit to the extract and performance, this is called as a rasa. And when the tongue enjoys it, it is called as the rasana. That is the reason the name for tongue in Sanskrit is called as rasana. And the one who enjoys the dramatic juice is called as rasika. Okay, Anandavardhana in his book Panyaloka says that the spectator who can think in the lines of the poet is called as rasika or the sahridaya. So there are many sutras applied to the theory of rasa, and today we would be discussing only about the Bharata's Rasa Sutra. which is nothing but Vibhava Anubhava Vyabhichari Samyogat Rasa Nishpattihi. That means coordinating and harmonizing the three elements, that is Vibhava, Anubhava and Vyabhichari Bhava, that leads to Rasa Anubhava, or thus leads to Rasa Nishpatti. Now we will understand what is Vibhava, what is Anubhava and what is Vibhava. Vibhava is nothing but Visesha Bhava. So these are the determinants. This is called as a stimulus. So Vibhava is the stimulus or the determinant, and Anubhava is the causal or the consequent experience that one would get. Understand? And Vyabs are the fleeting feelings, fleeting emotions that one would come and go, come and go, which will culminate in experiencing the proper rasa. I'll give you a small example for this. So while walking on the road at dusk, at dusk means it's not neither clear nor too dark, while walking on the road, suddenly we see a dark thing, which is in a curved shape like this. Immediately what would we think? It might be a snake, right? So that Vibhava, the thing, the object, whatever that we are seeing is called as Vibhava. That stimulated us to think about what it is. The Anubhava is the person who is next to us, he'll start running. So with his, running and all, we will also, without even thinking, without even checking what the object is, we will also start running. As you start running, and when you just turn and see, you will see that, that is also moving. Because you are running, it may be appeared like that. We never knew. But this determinant is stable. But the Vyabhichari Bhavas are, because that's moving and that fellow is running and the other person from the behind, he's shouting that, Arey, it's only a karra, do not run, it's only a rope man. But your eyes hear that, that is a snake, run, that's a poisonous snake. Because you are already into a fixed mode into the Vibhava. So that hearing accelerates your thinking, accelerates your breathing. So the acceleration in the breathing and everything, these are all the Vyabhichari Bhavas. They come and go, the perspiration will be there, you'll be sweating like anything, and you feel thirsty, all these things, and you'll be losing chappal. Still you are not bothered, but you just want to rescue yourself and, you will run away from there. This Vibhava is an object, but the Anubhava, the idea or the people, those who are around you, have created that kind of Anubhava to you. And the Vyabhichari Bhavas that are, the fleeting, maybe for a cool breeze that's passed, probably that must have moved. That is a Vyabhichari Bhava. Understand? So, Rasa and Natya Rasa. So, we've been talking about the Rasa, the Amras and everything. So, the kind of joy, the kind of essence that we are extracting from a theatrical presentation is nothing but a Natya Rasa. And what is a Natya Rasa? So, normally we just can't enjoy plain white rice, isn't it? Or just a plain chapati. We would like to have one fry in that. We would like to have some masala curry with the gravy and everything, right? Or if it is a Sunday, we would like to enjoy some non-vegetarian. Just like with the plain rice, you would like to have some nice curries which are prepared with the nice condiments, spices and everything, We would like to relish that. Similarly, the Natya Rasa is also prepared with several rasas like Sringara, Bhayanaka, Hasya, Raudra, several other rasas. And it is also mixed with several bhavas. So just like, I was telling you, we have sweet, spice, bitterness, salt and sour, other tastes. In the dance, we have Vibhavas, Anubhavas, Vyabhichari Bhavas, Sthayi Bhavas and Sattvika Bhavas. These are the 5 bhavas that we are dealing with today, resulting in the aesthetic relish. So we are talking about the bhavas, Sthayi Bhava, Vyabhichari Bhava, Sattvika Bhava, so many bhavas, ma'am, we are talking about. So what exactly the bhava means? Bhava is nothing but a feeling. Bhavayanti iti bhavaha. That mental state that brings its awareness or makes one's conscious of it, which pervades one like a particular smell. When we are discussing about the crying or weeping in the theater, have you observed that 80% of the people in the theater were crying at the same time when you have seen a pathetic situation? That we call it as a sadharanikarana. That means you have brought in the environment to a complete still, where everybody out of the 500 or 200 or whatever the number is, the audience are into the same mode. Or if it is a humorous sentiment, everybody laughs at one time. That is universalization of the bhava, and that we call it as bhavayanti iti bhava. When you are with the dramatic representation, when you are with the abhinaya, you will get connect with the character being portrayed on the stage, and you will experience the same kind of rasa that's being portrayed by the dancer on the stage. Okay, so these bhavas are called as thayi bhava, which are called as stable emotions, which are of 8 types, and vyabhichari bhavas, they are in 33, which are fleeting, and sattvika bhavas are the innate, the soul experiences, which are called as sattvic.